All right, let's shift our attention to Wall Street. Bit of a positive bang out there, but warning, volatility is still the operative word for the world financial markets. Let's take a look at the big board. We're up 213 points. The Dow Jones Industrials have broken through the 11,000 barrier right now. They've done that several times and dipped back down. There are bargain hunters out there. We're waiting to see just how well this holds right now, but it's a pretty solid bounce. And a lot of people say the market's oversold, and the bargain hunters are stepping in and picking up some of the stocks that they see good companies that deserve a higher stock price. Now, let's take a look at the major European indices. They close mixed after a lower start. London and Paris closing up more than 1%. Frankfurt finally closing flat. It had been down for most of the day, but there's some decent gains there. And over in Europe, or in Asia, I should say, you looked at these markets, the Hang Seng really took a hit today, 5 2/3%. You had the Nikkei down a full percentage and a half or more. Seoul was also down very sharply. I want to get more on what's moving the markets. Maggie Lake is watching for us on Wall Street. Maggie, European markets really took a drubbing, especially in South Korea. I'm wondering, is that just delayed reaction to what we saw on Wall Street yesterday, or are there deeper signs of trouble in those Asian economies?
Yeah, Jim, I think it's twofold. Yes, there is some catch-up. Remember, their markets were closed when we saw that very sharp leg down and a lot of that accelerated selling that happened at the end of our session on Monday. So in many respects, they were just sort of catching up to get where we were. We did have some people commenting that there is some question as to whether Asian markets have completely priced in the possibility or the growing odds of a double-dip recession. So they may be sort of catching up. You know, our colleagues on World Business Day always talk that it feels more problematic in the West, and the emerging markets in Asia have felt much more optimistic. So perhaps a leveling off here. And in some ways, what you're seeing in the U.S. market action today is a sort of shift to neutral. Yes, we're rebounding, but we've sort of stabilized right at that level, and we're churning there. You don't see a lot of buying momentum. We're not seeing the market march higher in a steady way. That tells you that people are still nervous, they're on edge, and they're, of course, waiting for the Fed meeting this afternoon.
In the Middle East, you have, there's a dependence on oil. Now, we have watched in recent days as stocks fell, oil prices went down. For food prices, that may be a good thing, but if you're an Arab government right now, you've got a declining dollar, declining oil price, you're caught in the middle here.
That's right, Jim, and that's a very good point. When you watch this market action, it all depends on who you are and what side of the trade you're on to determine whether this is going to be a good thing or bad thing. Oil is a perfect example. That some people have pointed out that in all of this, the one sort of silver lining, if you can call it that, is the fact that for consumers who are under pressure, who are stressed out by what they see in the markets, the fact that you see energy costs coming down, for businesses too, might be a positive, might be sort of an offsetting factor, but of course not the case if you're an oil-producing nation. The one thing I will point out that when we talk about volatility, we talk about how quickly these markets are moving, many who are in the energy markets will tell you that oil trades as an asset class now, not so much as a commodity. So you are seeing pressure as people reprice for the possibility of slow growth, demand destruction, but you're also seeing a lot of fast money moving these markets. So perhaps good to sort of take a step back and wait and see where we settle here with energy.
All right, fast-moving Maggie Lake. They're on Wall Street, keeping an eye on things for us, and she's solidly in the green right now as we watch this bounce. We'll keep an eye on that. Maggie, as always, great to have you with us. Well, the Arab Spring, distant memory, huh? Syria's president's vowing there will be no let-up in the bloody crackdown on his own people in his own cities. And look at Libya. Civil war continues there as well. Rebels today shaking up their leadership. We've got more on that, all of that, coming up next here on Prism.
Of all the Earth's vast resources, none is more valuable than the human mind. At Qatar Foundation, we're giving some of the world's most innovative thinkers the opportunity to move us all towards a brighter future. Through education, science and research, and community development, our mission is to help the people of the world to unlock their potential.
Quest means business. Piers Morgan tonight. Connect the world. Share the possibilities.
Go beyond borders.
Tonight on CNN. Really understanding a story involves staying with it. Beyond the first headlines, beyond the breaking news. When you want to know the why.
We see a man beaten with sticks. We ask the police press officer on site what happened.
He wants 10 more minutes so that he can understand.
The how.
So as you can see, these guns are very rudimentary. They're basically a single barrel, a trigger and a hammer, and they take these single shotgun rounds.
And what's at stake.
We're leaving this area. There's gunfire all around us.
CNN stays with the story.
It's 101 days into the uprisings in some parts of Syria.
Looking for answers.
Is this the first step? These rounds of talks?
This is a first step.
Taking the time to explain.
Behind those hills over there is the main crossing between Tunisia and rebel-held territory. If Gaddafi's forces manage to cut off that crossing, the rebels in the west will be surrounded.
This is how CNN takes you beyond borders. A massacre in Tuscany by Nazi SS. 50 years later, a secret archive uncovered. But will families ever see justice? Terror in Tuscany on the next World's Untold Stories, only on CNN.
Continuous gunfire echoing in the Syrian city of Deir ez-Zor on this YouTube video. Activists reporting bullets claiming another 17 lives. In Hama, witnesses say government forces remain entrenched, not pulling out as Damascus had claimed on Monday. Iraq has joined the chorus of Arab neighbors now condemning the bloody crackdown on protesters. While in Damascus, Turkey's foreign minister is meeting with President Bashar al-Assad. The message from Ankara: end the bloodshed. The message from Assad back: the promise of an unceasing battle against what he called terrorist elements. Despite all of the pressure, the Syrian government does not appear to be changing its tactics. Arwa Damon is monitoring events from Lebanon for us right now. The latest you're hearing, Arwa?
Well, Jim, as far as we can gather, just to address that meeting that took place between the Turkish foreign minister and the Syrian president, is that Ahmet Davutoglu is on his way to Turkey, and the initial reaction that we heard coming out of that meeting was the statement that was posted on the state-run Syrian Arab News Agency. That message that you mentioned there from President Bashar al-Assad directed to the Turkish foreign minister, saying, we will not relent in our pursuit of armed terrorist groups. And so it most certainly would seem as if the Syrians are sticking to their narrative, the same line that they have been using to justify the ongoing crackdown that has been taking place pretty much ever since this uprising began. The Turkish foreign minister is expected to make a statement when he arrives in Ankara, so it's going to be interesting to see what sort of a statement he does make following this meeting in Syria, where he was intending on delivering what Turkey was defining as being a firm message following statements by the Turkish Prime Minister that the country was effectively losing patience. And so at the same time, we have been seeing the ongoing military crackdown not letting up in Syria, not one bit, despite these various reports on Syrian state television that in some areas the military was beginning to withdraw. We still have these various reports, these various videos emerging on YouTube that do depict this crackdown, again, intensifying and spreading, Jim.
Arwa Damon, thank you very much. Arwa reporting there live from her watch post in Beirut. CNN not allowed to get back into Syria right now to be on the ground and eyewitness this.